You're watching The Whole Living Show on Trajectory TV.
Operate out of your dreams and your vision and not other people's expectation. Having breast cancer wasn't my choice, but the decision to live healthy so that I could stand before you here today, that's choice. You can choose this very moment to change your life from every perspective.
Tracy Randolph was our speaker. She came back because so many people liked her first presentation. I was one of those people that joined her fitness group, and it made me a better leader.
I grew up in a community, but they had limiting beliefs on what a little black girl could do. Everything that you do in this life is a choice. I choose to live healthy. I choose to change my mindset. I choose to be everything that I dreamed of because I choose faith and I choose me. Live healthy, be everything that you can be today. Choose yourself. Hey everybody. Okay, so I really love that part backstage, right? I'm always listening to the music and I'm back here like, hey. So I love to come on and say, hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Whole Living Show, where we tell the truth here, right? So we got some more truth for you today. Starting off with our hot topic, we're going to talk about Carlee Russell. Now I know this has been a big topic for everybody, and I know that you have been watching, right? Anticipating what is going on here. Well, she finally said that she lied about seeing a lost child and being abducted. So we're not trying to make fun of Carlee here, but the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because we have been talking about human trafficking. We've been talking about The Sound of Freedom, the movie, and the seriousness behind human trafficking and what's going on around the globe, not just in the United States, though we did mention that we are the number one consumer in human trafficking, right? But we wanted to mention Carlee Russell because this is not a joke, and I don't know her reason for doing what she did. In the article that I have, they did not mention what her reason was, but we just wanted to kind of escalate this to let people out there know, do not take this lightly, and don't go out here, faking, fraudulently saying that you have been abducted by someone when this is truly happening across the globe. So we want to take this serious. So I want to give you a little bit of the article here behind, Carlee Russell and what was going on. And everybody thought after she was found at home, or that she just showed up at home one night when she told her parents and her family to go to a hotel looking for her, and then she was home when they came back, she finally said that she lied about the abduction. So the young Alabama woman, Carlee Russell, who went missing for 2 days after telling 911 that she found a stranded toddler, has admitted that she was not kidnapped and did not see a young child on the side of the highway. Okay, so in a given statement, Russell's attorney to the Hoover Police Department said that the 25-year-old apologized for her actions, adding that no one else was involved in the disappearance. So, people were out here praying for her and quite worried, especially in light of what's been coming, to our awareness most recently with this movie and people talking about child trafficking. And she's a young lady. She's not an older woman. Not that that matters, because if they're abducting people, they may do it to young or old. So we're not going to mention the age, or excuse me, but we're not going to make light of any age. But I just want to say that this is very serious. I've been talking about the Sound of Freedom since I saw the movie, everyone, because this is not a joke. And this is real life. This is happening. People's children are being abducted. I live in the Carolinas. North Carolina, Charlotte in particular, is one of the highest places for child trafficking. So we've been talking about this, and I don't want to take this lightly. I want Carlee Russell to understand, what she has done and the uproar. Allow the police to do the real jobs that they need to do, to go after people who are really being abducted here. It's taking time away from the real issues that are happening in our communities. So don't go out there lying. You don't want the police. And listen, she's a young Black woman, so we're going to mention that here too, because that's an issue as well. And we want the police to take us serious when things are happening to our women, to our communities, to our children. And when we do things like this, they already have a problem with Black people. So we want them to take us serious. So we can't go out here, fraudulently saying that we are being abducted and, making things up so that the police do not trust us and our communities and our people. We got to take this serious. So I want you all to think about this. I'm sorry. I don't know what the young lady was going through. And I'm sorry for her if there was a real issue for her where she felt like she needed to make up an abduction. But she needs the help that, if this is something that she felt like she had to do for attention, she needs some help. She needs some real therapy. She needs to go talk to somebody, right? And if she did it for fun, shame on her. Shame on you, Carlee Russell, if that was for fun. But we don't know her reason because she did not say. Okay. But I just wanted to bring this to light, everybody out there, because I've been raising awareness now for the past few weeks about human trafficking and child trafficking, and telling people to go out there and watch The Sound of Freedom, wanting everybody to pay attention to your surroundings, pay attention to what's going on in your neighborhoods and your communities, at your stores. They are taking children in broad daylight, everyone. So pay attention. And this is definitely a case of, I know during 9/11, they used to say, if you see something, say something. This is definitely a case where if you see something, you say something. There was an incident at a South Carolina Walmart where a woman was being followed by two men around the store. She was with her young daughter and she was being followed around the store, and she said something so that someone could walk her to her car so that she could be protected going back to her vehicle so that her and her daughter could get home safely. It is happening everywhere. So pay attention, be aware, and don't make up things. Okay? So this was foul play at its worst, especially at a time like this. And we just want to say our thoughts and prayers are with Carlee. If she needs help, get the help that she needs. And if, she faked it, she still needs help. So that's it. So I have an amazing guest here this evening, everybody. Her name is Allegra Jackson. She is a boss lady businesswoman. She is the owner of AJ CEO. She is the founder of Women into Networking. She has an ebook called The Business Blueprint so that you can get your business in order. We're going to bring her in. She is doing so many things, but I want to introduce you to her first. She was born and raised in the heart of New Jersey. She's a Jersey girl, so am I. And I'm actually in New Jersey right now, even though I live in North Carolina. But this Jersey girl has she's an ambitious achiever with strong goals and aspirations. Allegra started her first business back in 2007, all right, and successfully scaled to 6 figures with a team of 8 highly motivated individuals. She continued to launch other successful ventures in business, including an IT installation and solutions company, along with her current focus, AJ CEO Business Coaching Group. Allegra has a strong background in marketing and management, working with Fortune 500 companies and large corporations as a consultant and liaison in administration, team building, business planning, and marketing, and this has been since 2009. In addition, she studied at the University of Florida in business management and holds several certifications in data analysis and business systems, business management, and marketing. So she has the experience to help you get your business where you need it to go. She also enjoys dedicating her time to building networking communities like Women into Networking and social platforms geared to support the health and longevity of women entrepreneurs and Black business owners. She also enjoys dedicating her free time to volunteer for charitable causes that involve urban development and or improve the infrastructure for education, health, social, and political justice, along with cultural heritage protection. So I want everybody out there to give Allegra Jackson a virtual round of applause. Put your hands together as we bring in this beautiful guest. And while we wait for her, there she is. While we wait for her.
I'm like, do I just unmute and put the girl, I'm here.
She is here. Amen. 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 So I'm going to ask you, because I've been talking about this topic for, a few weeks now, because of this whole human trafficking movie, and it shook me. I'm going to be honest. The very first show I've been talking about on Fem Talk and the Whole Living Show, the very first show, I lost it. I'll be honest with you. I lost it. I was boohooing because it's so serious. And I'm a mom, and just to see our kids being abducted and to see the severity of it and just how many times, right? These kids are being moved around and placed in other places and bought and sold so many different times. It shook me. So, I just want to ask you what you think about the hot topic before we move on.
Well, honestly, I don't have a lot to say about it because I really don't have a lot of information to go off of with this particular situation. I'll say this. There is a lot of need for us to look at where we are taking care of our mind and our mental health. I think it comes from the top down. So I think, I saw someone say on a reel, how do you raise kids that are self-aware? And say, well, you got to be self-aware to raise a child that's self-aware. So it starts with the parenting, right? We have to look at that. And then it looks at, okay, well, now that you've raised your child and now the child has her own life and she's now, independent and can speak for herself, what is going on that is causing this issue? And that's all. I'm just all across the board, not just with this one particular situation. But if you're doing things like that, clearly it's a call to help.
Yeah.
It's not like I don't think it's a a situation where we can really say, maybe she didn't know. I don't know. Maybe, maybe she was influenced. I don't know. But at the end of the day, she did it. And it's something to really investigate and look into and say, what are kids experiencing? I look at the way the pandemic shifted our world. I look at the way that our young, the generations that are here now, like anyone who's like a Gen Z or a Gen Alpha. I look at my niece. She's a pandemic baby, and she already knows how to take my phone out my hand, and she knows how to use it, take a picture, do a video, right? She knows how to do this at 2 years old. So I can't imagine what her experience of life looks like, what her reality looks like, what she deems as real, like her phone, opposed to actual real life.
Yeah.
And what that does to her mind. So I don't really know what the situation was. I will pray for that child because it's like, what do you really say? And I'm sure it's not the first time it happened, right? Pandemic babies are different. They are, but they're living in a different world. And if we're being honest, we have to really listen to what the children are saying so we understand what they're experiencing. Totally different from what I experienced when I was young. So I can't say I know what they're going through.
Yeah. And I love that about you, because I saw the video that you posted on awareness and raising children to be self-aware, where you had that mother who was stopping her children and teaching them how to use their voice versus, doing things that, were a little disagreeable to the mother, right?
Like,
right. Right. And
like we're so
yeah, and instead of her yelling and getting angry at the child, she pivoted their thinking, right? She shifted their thinking and helped them learn how to communicate better. But I love that you do that as a business owner. And I know you, I know you, so I know you're very intentional about what you put out there. But I love that you do that as a business owner, because you're raising awareness in so many different areas. Even though you coach people in business and marketing and everything that has to do with that, you also coach them in life, right? Even though you you do a lot of the stuff that you put out there is definitely helps to change people's way of thinking. So I love that you talked about that here too. So thank you for that.
I just want to pivot. I just want to go in there real quick because
Yeah.
you said something that one of my clients said to me. I thought was like, it just blew my mind, right? Mm-hmm. I'm a very relaxed coach. I'm really like laid back. I don't really do a lot of the like fluff, right? Like mm-hmm. There's no glamour here. Mm-hmm. We're just here to get things done. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the way entrepreneurship works and the way business building works, it is like, it's not all glory. Mm-hmm. You got to really do a lot of behind the scenes work. You have to know how to get beyond yourself and stop getting in the way of all the things that you need to do in order to make your business grow. There's things that people have to do in their business that they've never, ever had to do before. Mm-hmm. And that may take them getting to a space where, like my clients, a lot of my clients, they follow me all over. Like they'll follow me on Clubhouse, they'll follow me on Instagram, follow me everywhere, because they're like, oh no, those are safe spaces. Mm-hmm. And I know that I need to be around people who are safe. Yeah. So, because it's already hard enough. And, I just feel like at the end of the day, we need to be very intentional about how we spend our time with other people, how we invest in our business, right? As a business coach, I make sure that I'm just very honest. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like, just very honest. You're going to do the work. You're going to get the results. But most people do not want to do the work. The same way we're talking about self-awareness. Parents who aren't self-aware can't raise self-aware children. That mm-hmm. reel was geared to show you that woman, I'm sure, had to go through a lot to restrain herself mm-hmm. from wanting to wring her child's neck mm-hmm. for spilling her iced coffee that she probably just made fresh out the pot.
You're right.
That was like perfectly made, and she's like, okay, let me use this as a learning lesson.
Yeah.
And like it's, but we gotta look at how that affects us in our business, because in our personal lives, the way we do one thing is the way we do everything. Mm-hmm. That is how it is. And so to your point, I've had clients tell me, Allegra, the way you move, the way you do things, the programs that you put together, mm-hmm. it's like therapy in the mix. Mm-hmm. And one client said, and I'll end with this, mm-hmm. I was like, I don't even want to get on another call no more, because I feel like they're gonna try to make me go back to get my psychology degree, right? But he said, I've been in therapy for many years. He said, but nobody has ever shifted my mindset like you have mm-hmm. in the last month. And I was like, okay, well, let's go, because that's where you get the results, and that's where we shatter the ceilings that people, put limits on you, right? Mm-hmm. No glass ceilings here. So yeah.
Talk a little bit about that, how you recognize that there needs to be a mindset shift in the business owners that you work with.
Oh, well, I can see it real clearly. It's not hard. And I think it's because I've been there. Mm-hmm. Like, if you can't, theory means real life change. Yeah. Seriously. This is real life, and mm-hmm. Life is going to life. People mm-hmm. are going to people. We say it all the time. But when it happens, we get really scared and mm-hmm. fearful and doubtful. And then we don't actually go through the challenges that are going to, make us really be in positions that we feel the most uncomfortable. Like, if you look at the most successful people, they've been in places where they've lived in their cars, they've been mm-hmm. homeless, they've been without money for a long time. They had to, take out different loans, get support from family members. Like, listen, like, been without food for days. Like, there's things that people had to go through to really understand the capacity of what it takes to build their success. I did the same thing, right? I had to go through my own struggles. So when someone goes, oh my God, Allegra, I'm not making any money. I don't have any food in my fridge. Mm-hmm. I've been promoting this business for months And I feel like, and this is the classic part for me, I feel like I've been waiting on God to do something, and it's just not coming through. And I'm like,
faith without works, right? right.
If we're being real, sometimes God is like, you're not waiting on me.
Yeah.
You waiting on you. Because if you're not willing to do some of the most simple things, like some of the simple things that I ask my clients to do in the past that I've had to kind of restructure my programs around so I qualify them better, I'll say something like, just make 10 phone calls this week. That's it. Just reach out to 10 people. And I'll get back on the next session and I'll be like, did you call them? No, what happened was, and I'm like, listen, you gotta want it bad enough. It's not going to drop in your lap. And being a coach that has been in a space where I've made excuses, I know what it feels like. So it's like, I already know when somebody tells me something in the beginning before they even get on my discovery call, I'm like, we're not going to work together.
Yep. So talk about that qualifying. Like, talk about first, before you go to that part of it, talk about how you knew that, okay, I need to change things around and qualify people.
Oh my gosh. Started with the testing phase, right? Every business starts with a testing phase. If you're not doing that in the beginning stages, and you're probably missing out on a lot of money. I think that it was really important because I had 3 months of testing my business. When the pandemic hit, I had to shift. Right. I shared that on the Femme Talk series. And when we shifted, I say we, because I'm always a part of a company, honey. I'm always part of a big group, because I'm going to hire people to help me with what I need to do. And when we shifted, how did you know it was time to change things up and qualify clients? I'm going to tell you. So when I shifted in the pandemic, I started the coaching business because I was already coaching people. There were people making money off of me left and right. Like, they were like, oh, Allegra, that advice you gave me, I just made like $10,000. Okay, great. Can I get some? Like, okay, sure. So I started working with people, and I started reaching out on LinkedIn. Like, that was the first space I reached out to, because obviously that's where my clients were. Just did a little quick discovery and research. And just started DMing people and saying, I want to work with some individuals and get them into my coaching programs. And I didn't even know what the coaching program was fully going to be. I was just like, I'm just going to use them and see what they want. Like, so I just started recruiting people, and then I put there was like a little thing that you can put on your badge that tells you that you're like not recruiting, but that you're open to be hired or something for work. So I put that badge on. I just kind of increased my exposure as much as possible on LinkedIn. And I went premium, and I started getting into people's DMs, like I said. And someone that I knew from the radio station I worked at years ago reached out, and she wanted to work with me. And so I started to get increased exposure, and people that I knew that was like, oh, that's what you do, Allegra? Oh, okay. Yeah, I want you to work with me. Right, exactly. So, but that's where my audience was. It was on LinkedIn. Now, if I was on Instagram, it wouldn't have worked. If I was on Facebook, it wouldn't have worked, right? Clubhouse wasn't out at the time. So I really was able to get like 3 clients to go into this 3-month beta program, in a way where I launched it. I also launched it alongside a podcast. So I wanted to make sure that I could interview people and get some more exposure into the business. So it was like a double whammy on the strategy, right?
Yeah.
And so for 3 months, and one of those clients, I'm gonna tell y'all, was a family member. So I tested different levels of what I could do. And I would, kind of like ask what they wanted, did hourly sessions every week. And what I found, okay, and this is where it ends, is that I was able to get one of my clients $100,000 in one of their contracts. And of course, in the beta testing program, I'm like, well, let me just see what I can do for y'all. And I didn't want to ask for money because I felt like, well, if I get them some results, then I can use it as a testimony, and it's going to give me more business. And then I can like use it as a case study. And I'm like thinking of all these like weird, like little things, right? Cal, when they got that $100,000 contract, I was like, so 10% of that is going to go back to the, they were like, oh no, we don't have no contract. So get a contract.
That's right.
I learned that lesson. I learned everything by by fault, by error, trial and error. And I wanted it that way. I wanted to learn quickly. So I took 3 months to really take a loss. And another person was a family member, and we took 3 whole months of not getting anything done. And that's when I realized that, I don't want to work with people with mindset issues. Yeah. If you don't know where you want to go in your business, like if you have an idea, but you're like, but I don't have vision around it. Like, I don't really know, like who I want to work with and how I want to do it. And like, I can give you strategy and structure around the things that you're thinking about, but I can't give you the ideas. I can't give you the vision.
Yeah.
So that's when I refer people over to people like, a shout out to Kelly Laws now, because Kelly Laws is a vision planning. Shout out to Ariana, who does, clarity coaching, right? So I've sent plenty of clients over there and said, you work with them first and then come back to me.
Yeah.
So that's how I started it. Yeah.
So there's a couple of things that came up in there. So one is talk about, because you mentioned, you didn't even really know what the coaching program was totally going to be. So talk about, having the courage to really step out and, based on your vision, take it somewhere, even though you don't know what the final product is going to be. Talk a little bit about that.
I think it just takes boldness. I think you just have to be bold in general. Like, honestly, hey, okay, some familiar Win community faces there.
Yes.
It takes boldness. It takes you willing to be relentless about, what people are going to say, what's going to happen. Like, sometimes I hear a lot of excuses around me, right? And I understand them because that's just where people are in their mental space. But I've been there, done that. And I'm in a space where I'm going to my millions and my billions because I have so many things to do. It's not necessarily because I'm like, oh, I just want to have a lot of money. It's so great. I've had a lot of money, child. That thing come and go like super fast, right? So it's not about the money. It's about the impact and what you want to do with your life and how you can feel fulfilled. And I'd rather feel fulfilled now than later. So I'm like, let me feel fast and feel forward and do whatever I got to do to be able to get to my goal. So yeah, I'm okay with, doing a beta program and testing it out and saying, you know what, that didn't go so well. I'm gonna put that on the back burner and I'm gonna do something else. Or that went really well. Let me continue that and make more money.
Yeah. And how do you suggest that a business owner takes that, like that beta testing, that, those first couple of clients, takes the lessons that they learn to really build something out that's meaningful?
First of all, write everything down. Like, one of the biggest mistakes I think people make, and I'm big on this, and I think it's because I feel like I'm on a spectrum, y'all. I'm somewhere there because my brain and my hands, they operate together. So when I'm thinking about something, I grab a pen, I grab a paper, and I'm like, it's just like I have to do it because I feel like I don't want to lose this. Like all your ideas, your thoughts, your vision, everything that comes to you is gold. And sometimes we waste it in the atmosphere because we're like, that was a great idea, and then we don't even remember like, what the heck we were thinking. Right. And so I like to write everything down. And so, yeah, in the planning phase of anything you're doing, especially when you're testing something, write everything down and create a plan for how you want to make it better in the future. Even if it didn't work well. Like when I looked at, the structure that I had with the beta testing program for the 3 months, I created a course with it. And the course, I sold to one person and that was it. And that was a hard sell. That was a high ticket course. You know what that taught me? That taught me that people will not buy your course if they don't know you.
That know, like, and trust factor is real, right? That is real.
They were like, I don't know this lady. So, but now if I launch a course, my clients and people that know me, they're like, oh yeah, I know what Allegra do. I'm going to go ahead and build that. So yeah, I think listen, it's an amazing opportunity to be an entrepreneur and take advantage of, being able to live whatever lifestyle you want to live, but you got to make the choice and you got to bet on you. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And we were talking in the Win community this morning about, about winning. And I was talking about, to me, the winning now is the impact. Whose life am I affecting? How am I helping? That's the win now. I was chasing the money before, right? I'm not gonna lie. I got to be transparent about that, but it wasn't meaningful. So I just love how you talked about the impact, right? Because you've had the money, that the money can come, right? But what are you doing to change somebody's life? So when you're coaching people around building business and really understanding their business, how do you get them to recognize, or maybe I shouldn't even say it that way, what are you showing them in terms of how to make that vision plain, how to solve the problems, how to identify, who their people are, right? Who they want to talk to. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh, well, that's easy. I mean, like I said, the beta testing program was really that structure that I used and I just modified it. So like when I first launched the beta testing program, like I said, I didn't have everything structured. It was just like ideas. So I wanted to, walk people from the beginning of their business building stage, from like when they're like, okay, what kind of business name do I want? Like that's where I wanted to start. And then I went from there and I started asking more questions in my sessions, like, where are you in your business? What kind of business ideas do you have? What are your goals, right? Those were the kind of questions that I started out in the beta testing program. And I used that to write down some of the things that I can add to the program. Now I have programs that are 3, 6, and, annually. So 3 months, 6 months, and annually. And with those programs, it's just been structured based on the client's needs, right? Like people that have come through either my 30-day program or they've come through my hourly sessions and they're like, this is exactly what I'm going through and I need this in my business. If I can provide it, I'm going to put it together for them and I'm going to put it into the program. So the beta testing, those 3 months, was more valuable than mostly anything that I could have done in the beginning of my business, right? It was the clients that I served and I was able to take everything they said because I wrote it down and I just started saying, okay, well, what do I want to do on the first week? What do I want to do on the second week? What do I want to do on the third week, right? And if my client gets stuck somewhere, will there be enough wiggle room for me to show them so that they can say, oh, I'm tripping. Let me go back to the board, right? And I use resources and tools that I actually started within the beta testing program, like Trello board. I think you've seen a Trello board, right? That was something I used that was so simple. I didn't want anything complicated because we don't like complicated stuff. We want it to be super simple. But we're also we like organization. Yeah. So I wanted to create something where people could be flexible. And that Trello board is something you can use for the coaching board. You can use it for your own business. So I wanted duplicable resources that my clients could use in my program that they could say, oh, I could use this in my business too, right? And that's really, that came from the 3-month beta testing program. So every single quarter, my prices go up because I do the same process every single quarter. I look at what people are telling me. I get the real pain points and say, like, is this really what's going on with you? Okay, let me add that. And because it's added value, listen, honey, you don't get added value without increased pricing.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Wait, we're going to take a quick commercial break because I want to come back and talk about that because that's a whole mindset in and of itself, right? And understanding that you're adding value and raising your prices every quarter, right? And people are probably raising their eyebrows behind that. So I want to come back and talk about that. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. Don't go anywhere, everyone. Stay right here because you want to hear what the marketing medulla, the boss lady, businesswoman here, right here, Allegra Jackson has to say as soon as we come back.
Imagine a verdant paradise that stands as a convergence of worlds, a living temple of native wilderness, a place where the full potential of inherent human and earth magic can be seen, felt, and understood, a space that attracts the brightest and best of educators on the leading edge, a place of permaculture designed for the benefit of future generations.
And we are back, everybody. So if you missed the first half of the show, you want to make sure that you go back and watch, because Allegra was dropping some golden nuggets here about what you need to do in your business. Now, right before we took that break, she talked about, refining her programs and raising her prices every quarter. And I know some of you may be raising your eyebrows out there, especially if you're scared of, raising those prices. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about, having the fear of, I got to raise my prices because I'm refining the programs, but understanding that you're adding value, and that value comes in the form also of money, right? Talk about that.
I mean, I just know my value. I just know what I offer.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that is part of it. Like, the transformations and the testimonies that I have just shown me what people really truly get out of it. But also, it took me betting on myself enough first. Like, I had to really believe enough that I could do it, and just say, you know what? Because I put this in place right after the beta testing program, because I was like, they made me do this much work. I was like, okay, these prices are going up every quarter, because I already can tell that people have, like, I knew the market was changing drastically. Every single month I turned around, something was changing on digital platforms in the market with the pandemic. So I knew that I needed to just be very flexible. But yeah, like, as far as the pricing is concerned, I think, inflation was coming up soon. So I knew that was happening. And that's why, like, when you write your business plan, you kind of want to forecast those things, right? Like, hey, like, the recession's coming, inflation's coming. Like, hey, I need to start looking at what my prices are going to look like. So I knew that raising my prices every quarter would actually catch me up to what the inflation prices would be anyway. So it just made sense, right? It was just like, okay, well, inflation is going to be this much higher in this year. So if I raise my prices by this percent every single quarter, and I add more value every single quarter, and my clients are happy. I have clients that have been with me for, over a year. So it's not like, they have to get locked in. They get locked into that price. So they don't have to actually pay any of those new updated version prices, right? They're like, oh no, I'm locked in. I'm not paying those new prices. So that's another way that I retain, a lot of my clients too, because they don't want to pay new prices. They're like, no, I want to pay what I've been paying. And I just keep them on a retainer. And, that's been working really well. I don't take a lot of clients every single month. And it's mainly because my prices are up there, right? Like, I don't feel lowering your prices is a good thing. I was talking to one of a potential client today on a discovery call, and she was mentioning how, and I asked her, I said, do you feel like you're really kind to people a lot? And she said, yeah, I do. And I said, do you feel like you like to help people a lot? She's like, yeah, I like to help. I said, do you give a lot of free stuff away? And she was like, yeah, I do. How do you make money in your business if you're always giving things away for free?
Yeah.
So I say this with, with money is concerned, there are money blocks that people have that you have to take care of before you just start running out here trying to get sales. It's just not going to work, because you're going to want to give away your services like I did when I had my first business in 2007. And my client, well, he wasn't even a client yet. He was like, I really didn't want to purchase you because your prices are too low. And I thought it was scammy. I was like, okay.
Now that's good too, right? Because that is the mentality of some people as well, right? Saying, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of value here, right? Because the prices are so low. So, and that shifts the mindset too. Like, well, if I know I have value, why am I charging these low prices out here? And people aren't respecting it.
It's a mindset. You're right. But I think people have to be realistic where they are, right? If it's a mindset, then work on your mind. If it's not a mindset, and if it's just like a money block, then work on your blocks. If it's you just not knowing how to make money, then go get a sales team and tell them to go make some money for you. If you have the money to get a sales team, but if you don't have any money and you need to do sales on your own, then start doing sales. Like, start researching it, start looking at, can I say something real quick?
Absolutely.
So, I say it like this because I feel like I don't want to really say it the way that I want to say it.
We could be transparent on this show.
But sales is not hard, right? Sales is just a conversation. And that is one thing I want to say. So a lot of people go, oh, I don't know how to make money. I don't know how to make sales. I'm like, listen, you sell every single day. You talk about that nice shirt you like. You talk about where you got your hair done and who did it and how much it costs. You talk about, your makeup and where you got that from and, who did this and what. So we sell all the time. We just don't sell for ourselves. And we don't really feel comfortable with asking for things, like asking for help, asking for money. And so those are really some things we got to get past. But when you actually get to the fact that sales is something that anyone can learn. We have information highway, YouTube, Google, Pinterest, everything available to you. The problem is we have so much information and we're doing so little with it. Like, I've never seen it before in my life. So many people.
So I'm going to ask you this, though. What do you say to the business owner that is confused by all the information, right? Because you have so many coaches. I'm putting my air quotes up, right? Because everybody that says they're a coach is not a good coach. But you have so many coaches out there who may be saying stuff on social media, on YouTube videos, so how do you tell your business owners how to decipher the information that they go look through?
There's always been a lot of resources of information. Like, the first thing I did when I started out in my business, I went to the experts that really were in business. I didn't have to trust the social media source. Like, let's just be real. Like, come on. Anybody can start a social media page. Anybody can get on. I think that what people are experiencing is their lack of discernment. Like, I think what they're experiencing is their lack of, really just being able to do what they need to do to like vet people and say, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't sound right. And I was just talking to someone the other day about that, and they were showing me a message and they were like using me as their moral compass. Like, do you think that this? And I was like, listen, like, I'm not nobody's superwoman over here. Okay. You got to figure it out for yourself. But people have a really hard time, really deciphering what's real and what's not in this world of the digital world. So I would just say, go out in real life. Okay. Like, go out to people in real life, start talking to people one-on-one. There is the Small Business Association that's always been available. I send everyone there and I tell them, just talk to someone, get a mentor. I have one right now from SBA. I love her. She's amazing. And she's giving me so many resources that have let me, see business in a new way, even here. After the pandemic, there's so many more resources that have happened in the past year alone. So if we're not, if we're not getting out into the world and understanding that there's still a world out there, but we're so caught up behind our phones and we're trying to figure out, like, oh, why did that person send me that message that said hi? Let me see what they want from me. Why is this person asking for a donation? How do I figure out which coast to choose? Well, first of all, figure out what you want.
Right.
Okay. And when you figure out what you want, then you look at your people, look at who you're looking at. Okay. If I'm looking online, then that may mean I need to vet them a little bit better and see, like, if they're a real person, where they live, who they've helped, right? Like, do your due diligence. And if you don't feel like doing that much work in the digital platforms, then go to your local SBA and get with real people that are going to help you. But just make sure that you use discernment as well. Stop acting like, you don't know.
And I love that you bring that in there. And we talk about that in Clubhouse, right? A lot. You got to step out on faith. And I mentioned this quote in the clubhouse room last week, but it says, make time for the quiet moments as God whispers and the world is loud, right? Like those are the things that you got to pay attention to, right? Stop letting everything over here and over here get in your ear and really listen to what God is telling you. So I love that you said use your discernment.
Well, Tracy, it's not for everyone. I'm going to be honest with you. I've learned that everyone is not for entrepreneurship. Everyone is not for business. Everyone is not going to make it. I get that. And it's okay because it's not for everyone. Right? And
yeah. And you know what? I'm going to mention something. I have to mention my bestie here because we went through a program called Transform Her. And a lot of the women came out like wanting to be entrepreneurs. And she like honestly and transparently said, I love helping other people. I don't know if I necessarily want to be an entrepreneur on my own. I would rather collaborate with people and do something that means something to me that I really like doing, but I don't necessarily want it to be like a whole business of my own. I so respected her for that, for identifying that and being able to say, you know, this is not what I want just because it's what everybody else wants. And I went through this program for a different reason. You know what I mean? So you have to be able to be honest and transparent with yourself about what you really want. Don't do it just because everybody else is out there doing it.
So. Well, here's another thing I want to just make people very aware of. Before the pandemic, entrepreneurship was not sexy. Okay? I've been doing it for a long time. It was not that sexy. Okay? After the pandemic, when people were sitting at home getting that government money and just, you know, sitting on their rent with their landlords, calling them every day, talking about something, we gonna pay your rent, but they sitting on that money like they just got it like that. I know people that did that, and I was just like, why would you waste your, you know, it was just, people were saying, I'm an entrepreneur. People were saying, I want to do a business because it benefited them at the time. And if we really look at how the pandemic shifted that, we see that it shifted right back to where it was, right? Like we have a lot of people that were just like, okay, that was nice. That was good while it lasted. All right, I'm done. Right. So they're no longer even talking about business anymore. So, you know, everybody's not going to be geared for entrepreneur, but I think the pandemic polished it up to make it look really sexy for people, and that was very deceiving. And that's why I think people feel very overwhelmed, because that's where I heard everyone go, I'm a coach, I'm a coach, I'm a coach. So ride out the wave, y'all, because the real people, not the real people, everybody's real, but the people who are for the long haul, rather that, okay, they will still be around. And so if you need a coach, which you will, get a coach, but know what kind of coach you need, right? And you don't have to have that coach forever. You can have more than one coach. You can make sure that you, you know, get the results from your coach by, you know, looking at their testimonials and getting word of mouth. Like get someone to give you a coach that they know, that, you know, transform their business, right? Like don't just get a coach online somewhere. And so that's the only thing I would say about that.
Yeah, love it, love it, love it. So my goodness, we are winding down a little bit here on time, but there's so many nuggets that you're giving, and I want to talk about your business blueprint before we go, because would you suggest that people get your business blueprint before they engage you as a coach, or, you know, kind of going through that process with you?
Yeah, you need to start out with that blueprint first. And it's complimentary right now. Like that used to be $30. It's still $30. Like if you see it, it's discounted at $0 right now on the shop. And the reason, and I also do it just to kind of give to people how to best prepare to connect with Allegra. Definitely reach out to me here on LinkedIn, or you can go to the website, ajcobc.com. But I really think that it's really important to, what was I saying? I just kind of lost my train of thought because I gave y'all an intro.
Right.
Late, y'all.
You were just talking about the blueprint and how it's complimentary.
Yes. What I was saying about that is that the price is going to go back to $30. So, anyone who wants something that is going to help them figure out where they're at in their business. If you have a business idea and you don't know what kind of name you want for your business, or to register your business with the IRS, because that is absolutely free. You do not have to pay anybody to register your business with the IRS. You can also find your target audience and know how to identify them. It has a forecasting analysis there, so you can write down like, what do you want to, forecast in your expenses, right? In things that you're going to have to pay for in your business. Investors love that. Banks love that, because now they know how much money to give you, right? There's also a presentation area in there. There's areas where you can start looking at like, okay, well, what type of LLC do I want? Where do I want to incorporate? Like, all these things are things that are in a business plan. But this is a very like short form guide to really being able to set yourself up for success. And once you get to me, it's going to be a lot easier, because you're not going to be like bombarded with all these questions in the first session. And I'm like, well, what about this? And what about that? And what about that? And you're like, oh my God, I never even thought of it. So I would say it's definitely great to start with. But people come to me all the time without it, and they still get transformation results. And I love working with people wherever they are, but you just have to be ready to go.
Yeah, love that. And I'm going to say this because I know her. She refines the business blueprint, as, new things happen, right? So you want to make sure that you're staying connected, because it doesn't stay static either. So I just wanted to put that out there. I mean, you heard her say it's complimentary now. So you see the website scrolling across the screen, go there, get the blueprint, and then go to Allegra and say, okay, I'm ready for you to be my coach, and get her to be your coach in your business. Right? And it's going back up to $30. And still, if it goes to $30, buy the blueprint and then engage her as your coach. All right. So we just want to mention that here. So I want to, before we go, talk about Women into Networking as well, because you are the founder of Women into Networking. Why Women into Networking? How did this all come about? It's an amazing community. I could speak for that. I'm going to say you find your people there. Allegra's my people. And you listen. Okay, I'm just going to let you speak. Talk about Women into Networking. And
why. It is really exciting to talk about. I'm not going to lie to you. It started out because I was a woman that wanted to network. I was on Clubhouse and other apps and platforms. And at that time, y'all, you know how Clubhouse is. There's a whole bunch of people in there. You're like, where do I fit in? What do I do? And I really needed to align with people who wanted to grow, who wanted prosperity, who thought about the good things, right? And not like sat in rooms and like talked about, oh, my day was horrible. And I wanted to talk about business. I wanted to and if we were venting, I wanted it to be in a structured way, right? Like, let's talk about how your day was. Let's talk about how your weekend was, right? So, I think it was just God really like molding me into this, whatever it is. I don't even know what I am at this point. I'm like, whatever I am is what I am. But he's been molding me into this and to be in these positions, right? And it's been really selfless, because there have been so many times where even in the process in the beginning, when I was in Clubhouse, I had to start a room and it was about networking. And I'm like, but I need business and I want to make sure that, I'm growing my business, right? But what really spoke to me was, but this is what they need. And when you pour into people, it will return, right? Give and it shall return back to you. And I had to start going back into my faith, my beliefs, and start actually doing what worked, right? Because I wasn't doing as well in the business mentally and emotionally. Like financially, it was cool. But mentally and emotionally, that thing was not thinging. Yeah. And so I had to get with God about that. And he got me in a place where I started feeling more fulfilled. And I was like, yeah, this is what I want. This is what I need. And the money comes. So I was never really concerned about like, oh my God, am I going to make a sale? Oh. So when I got on Clubhouse and I wanted to be aligned with people who weren't going to use me for my gifts, who weren't going to try and take advantage, the Win community, just naturally the name came to place. Ariana was around. She was like, I remember I pitched the idea to her and I said, I want to make sure you hear this, because I don't want us to be years down the line and you say, Allegra, how did you think about that idea? I want you to be a witness, right? And so she was the first person I called and I was like, okay, I got to tell you what God told me. And it was just that what the vision was really broad and everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew the first step.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the first step was start a room on Clubhouse, start networking. And the first room, I think we had like 300 people. Then, well, not the first room, but like the first real room, right? And then we had the biggest room we had, I think we got up to like about 1,500 people or so. And that was on the replay.
Wow.
So that's where it started. And it just was me getting on a stage and actually being really nervous and actually being really uncomfortable. I'm still uncomfortable, but saying to people, hey, what do you like to do? What are you doing in your business? How can I support you? And then let's connect. And it just went from there. Now, 2 years later, officially a nonprofit business, a networking community with over thousands of members, and we are nationwide. We are international, actually. And we have platforms, audio, virtual, in-person networking events. We have leaders like yourself who do an amazing job of like just putting together events for people in local cities who are really like still in their houses and don't have, like, they don't know where to go.
Yeah.
And so so we've been able to do a lot, and I've been blessed to I can't talk about it now because we don't have enough time, but I've been really blessed to go through a process of being thrown in the fire like that sword, and now I'm like that hard steel as the leader of this community. So yeah, it's an amazing community. I invite everybody to join.
Yes. So everybody out there, listen, get on Clubhouse, join Women into Networking, come into the community, meet some of the amazing people that are there, and business owners and all, right? And because it's called Women into Networking, for all the men out there, it is also for the men who support the women, right? So we want to just put that out there as well. There are men that come into the community as well, but join us. There's so many resources in there, so many beautiful people in there. I mean, the talks, the conversations, the lessons, the testimonies, the transparency, everything. There's something for everybody in this community. So make sure that you join us. I appreciate you, Allegra. I'm sad that we have to stop here. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing your gifts and who you are. If you are not connected with her, everybody, reach out to her. She's on LinkedIn, she's on Instagram, and she's on Clubhouse, amongst others, right? But make sure that you reach out to her. You saw her website as well. It's ajceobc.com. Make sure that you connect with her. And then I just want to put out there, we got to announce, you can put that back up there, please, for the Radical Press. Yours truly is one of the contributors to the Radical Press. I will be in the Radical Press every month. It's coming out August 20th. So make sure you look for the first issue of Radical Press magazine coming out, everybody. You have myself, you have Brandy Johnson, you have Jamie Lane, who started the Radical Press, and you also have Dominique Rivera. So look for us there. We love you. We thank you for being here. Come back next week, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we will see you then. Take care.